Welcome to the Explainer. Today we are jumping straight into chapters 6 through 10 of our source text to unpack some truly mind-bending concepts about reclaiming our energy, both spiritual and physical. Look, we're focusing on a reality that, let's be honest, we all know way too well. Trying to navigate life as busy 25-year-olds in this hyper-fast, super-demanding world. We're going to explore how those little, subtle dependencies we lean on just to stay productive might actually be totally disconnecting us from who we really are. And more importantly, we'll look at how we can gently reclaim that lost power.
So let's kick things off with a super grounded, serene question. Do you control your morning coffee ritual, or does it control you? I know it sounds simple, but it hits right at the core of the dependencies we build into our everyday routines just to survive the day. We tell ourselves, oh, it's just a drink, or it's just a little boost to help me stare at my screen for 8 hours. But what if it's actually an operating system update you never consciously agreed to install?
Okay, Section 1. Embracing the change. Reprogramming your system.
In this chunk of the text, we follow Abby. She's a typical 25-year-old who suddenly realizes she is basically running entirely on autopilot and caffeine. But here's the cool part. Instead of doing some harsh, punishing, crash detox, she takes back control using slow, steady patches to update her own internal software. She swaps out that jagged, nervous coffee spike for a warm herbal tea. She starts doing beginner yoga and just quiet breathing, finding real joy in the gentle movement. And she opens her journal, but not to write out another stressful to-do list for work, right? She does it just to sketch and reconnect with her vibrant, creative self.
The absolute crucial takeaway here is this. By replacing an artificial rush with these really serene, grounded habits, she starts reconnecting to her true self. The text puts it beautifully. Each moment of genuine calm feels like getting one bar of signal back to a beautiful internal network she completely forgot she had. It's like stepping out of the static and finally getting back into clarity.
Moving right along to Section 2. The Cristic Warnings. Beyond the Brew.
To really wrap our heads around this, Abby goes to a sunlit study group where her peers, Evan and Evelyn, along with their teacher, Lord Blue, break down the deeper lore. And they introduce this wild concept called Cafeinism. Guys, it's not just a beverage, it is an entire mindset. It's a subtle method of systemic control used by these hidden, overarching forces the text calls the tempters. And their goal? Literally just to treat humans purely as biological machines that need to be fueled and optimized. They want to keep humanity completely laser-focused on the physical world and entirely cut off from higher consciousness.
The source material details exactly how this dependency deliberately buzzes your nervous system, and it carries some massive hidden spiritual costs. When your root chakra is overstimulated, you are basically trapped in pure survival mode, pushing all this anxiety and restlessness. It literally scrambles your inner intuition, which is crazy, because those are the exact signals you need to make clear, grounded choices in your 20s. It totally blocks the stillness you need for deep meditation, and it actually thins out your protective etheric energy field, making you way easier to drain.
All right, Section 3, Feminism as a Spiritual Trap, Trading the Soul for a Spike.
As the study group gets deeper into it, Evelyn points out something absolutely fascinating. She notes how modern corporate ecosystems package this draining dependency as this cheerful, harmless aesthetic. You know the vibe, cute mugs, relatable memes. People will line up around the block for caffeine and they actually call it self-care. But Evelyn argues that it totally masks the fact that we've traded deep, nourishing rituals of reflection and gratitude for a simple, mindless transaction at a counter. It's really just self-medication to survive a system that simply demands way too much of us.
I mean, think about how this plays out in a normal day. Every single time we raise that cup during these habitual milestones, like the morning jolt just to feel remotely human, the mandated 2 p.m. office pick-me-up, or the late-night fuel to grind through extra work, we might unknowingly be paying homage to a system that just wants our light on a leash. It completely normalizes being out of balance.
Ultimately, the source notes that this constant state of being wired keeps you skimming the very surface of life. It dulls what the text calls your Cristic conscience, basically your inner compass and your absolute truth. When you rely on caffeine just to feel normal, your critical thinking softens. You become either way too tired or way too artificially amped up to challenge authority, to ask the big questions, or to ever reach your vibrant full potential.
Up next is Section 4, the body's price tag, the ecosystem of exhaustion. Okay, take a second to look at this number. 400. What does that represent? That is the milligrams of daily caffeine where things start hitting the physical heart incredibly hard.
During the study group, Lord Blue shifts the focus to the extreme end of Cafeinism. We're talking those high-sugar, neon-colored energy drinks. Hitting this level raises your blood pressure, accelerates the heart rate, and literally forces the body into a localized state of panic. It's the numerical threshold where you actually stop fueling your body and start actively alarming it.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that these drinks severely drain your physical resilience. They are demanding a massive physiological price for a temporary spike in false power. You get completely trapped in this violent push-crash cycle. It triggers severe anxiety, jitters, and insomnia, making it virtually impossible to find that serene, grounded state we all actually crave. You are essentially borrowing energy from tomorrow just to survive today, and the interest rate is incredibly steep.
And honestly, this is exactly what those systemic, draining forces want. It's called the double payoff. They achieve their ultimate goal through this combined physical and spiritual exhaustion. By draining your physical body and dimming your link to your soul at the exact same time, they make us forget who we truly are beneath all the cravings. We become so hyper-focused on the next fix that we totally forget to look up and actually see the vibrant world around us.
Which brings us to Section 5, Choosing to Wake Up, the final test.
Following the study group, Abby steps back out into the real world and immediately faces this deeply relatable challenge right outside her local cafe. She's confronted by two distinct inner voices. On one side, the voice of dependency is purring at her, telling her she's had a hard day, she deserves a little boost, she could always quit tomorrow, right? But on the other side, the gentle voice of truth reminds her of her actual worth. You are more than your cravings. You are not a battery pack for someone else's system. And in this beautiful, quiet moment of reclaiming her energy, Abby simply decides to walk past the cafe. She actively chooses to listen to the gentle voice of her own soul.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with Evan's profound question. I really want you to deeply reflect on this regarding your own vibrant, everyday choices. Look closely at your routines, your dependencies, the little things you reach for to get through your afternoon. Who is really running your system? Is it you, consciously and serenely? Or is it the app, the chemical, the hidden code? Because at the end of the day, the choice to wake up, to truly wake up, is entirely yours.